Right, so good morning, Griff. Thank you for joining me. And I'm glad to see that you've done your hair and you've scrubbed up nicely for this major event. This morning, I thought that we would do a little podcast because it's our first one, isn't it? We're going to have a little practice and a little try, and maybe we can talk about heart level connection. So I know that you and I have a predisposition to ramble on, and we also like chatting to each other. So I will try and keep us quite tidy with the timing. So if I come in and say we'll leave it there for today, I'm not being rude, Griff. Okay.
No, I understand, Fran. Honestly, I understand that. I'm fully aware that I tend to ramble off and go off on tangents and things. I just got so much to share that I tend to. So I need to be brought down a peg or two at times.
So, Griff, tell me about heart level connection. Tell me what that means for you.
I mean, for me, heart level connection, it's how I perceive connection on a deeper level, if you like. I think similar to how when we were talking last time on the last video that we did together, my parenting has kind of evolved over the years, and I probably 3 or 4 years ago I got kind of very, very focused on connective parenting. Mm-hmm. And the reason being that I really, really saw the benefits of connecting with my little fella, regardless of what behaviour I was faced with. The actual connection was what made the difference, rather than any of the strategies that I'd tried in the past that I was continually trying. So I kind of came up with this phrase of heart level connection, because whilst I struggled sometimes to connect with him on a on any sort of a level, it became apparent to me that I actually needed to be quieter and connect with him at a far deeper level. It wasn't that he was refusing my connection, it was that I wasn't quite reaching him. So I come up with this kind of phrase of heart level connection, and what it really encompasses is kind of co-regulation and attunement, and more really attuning to myself. So to give you a kind of example, because it is sometimes easier to explain with an example. Just this weekend, to be honest with you, I was on the phone to my lad, and he's made such massive progress in the last couple of years, and he was talking to me on the phone. We always have a half-hour phone call before bedtime, and as he's talking to me, he's on his laptop, and he's trying his hardest to sort out this problem that he's got with downloading a certain music app that he wanted. And I could sense him getting more and more stressed, and he started to he was swearing a couple of times, and he was going to download this, and he's reading out what's on the screen to me about he needs to download a driver or whatever, and I obviously couldn't help him because he was on the other end of the phone.
So you're starting to sense a dysregulation at that point.
Absolutely, and that's what it was. And so Griff being Griff, and obviously my past experiences have taught me that what I needed to do at that point was to connect with him at a far deeper level. So while this might sound strange to some parents who are struggling to connect with the kids, I actually said far less than I would have done in the past. Mm-hmm. And I allowed him to struggle. And then I kind of practiced the pause, which is another little phrase that I like to use. And I just sat on the other end of the phone every now and then going, "You're okay, fella, you're doing really well." But then I would just stay quiet, and he'd be still going through, and he'd start swearing because he's getting upset with what's going on. But I knew that he was still regulated, and he wasn't going to explode as he would have done in the past. And that, for me, it is what the heart level connection is all about. He's aware of my presence, and the fact that I'm remaining regulated and not kind of offering him 101 different solutions or answers to his problems, and just allowing him to have them emotions that he's having. When he was swearing, I didn't go, well, it's not good to swear. There was no reaction from me. It was just, I would speak seldomly. And then towards the end of the phone call, he actually said to me, Shane's okay. And I went, yeah. I said, Shane is okay. And at that point, I kind of knew that the last 20 minutes of me doing absolutely nothing was enough to keep him regulated through the problems that he was experiencing. So that is what I call my heart level connection with him.
I see. So what I'm hearing then in that moment was you heard you kind of attuned to the dysregulation, but you knew that he was in cognition because he was busy doing his typing.
Absolutely.
And reading and communicating with you. But at that point, if you'd offered him any solutions, actually that probably would have tipped him out of that cognitive window, because then he would have started to have felt stressed, because sometimes when people are giving you lots of information, it feels very stressful when you're in a task and in the moment. So just sitting back and being alongside and in effect co-regulating is what you did. So you really attuned on what might I need to do right now, and I just need to be really anchored, and I need to be anchored here for him. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, that's certainly the way that I saw the situation and the way that it panned out. It was very much, I could have been in a very similar situation in the past, and I would have done something very different. While he was struggling, I would have gone, well, what we'll do, mate, you're going to see Griff tomorrow. So as soon as I get there tomorrow, we'll sort it out and we'll do it. And I've kind of learned from my past mistakes, in as much as, what he would do then would get more and more stressed, because my assumption is that what he's thinking is, you're not understanding me here. I'm struggling. So as I say, it can sound wrong, if you like, to some parents, but by actually doing less, I feel that I helped him more, and that connection that was there, that I've worked very, very hard on for kind of 4 or 5 years. I'm not kind of suggesting to anybody that you can just allow a kid to stress to increase and increase and increase and ignore the behaviour and do nothing. It's not that easy. This heart level connection needs to kind of develop over a period of time. But my trust in being able to co-regulate with him kind of deepens that connection that we have. And I know that he was struggling before he phoned me, because he phones me at the same time every night. He was already on his laptop struggling. So it was almost as if he's called me as if to say, I know I'm going to be okay now because I'm talking to Griff while I'm struggling.
Yeah. So actually what he did was he sought out proximity of you in order to regulate. So that's also what I'm hearing. But I think as well, knowing you, Griff, that if he had started to escalate and really started to dysregulate, you perhaps then would have taken a different tack and talked to him about, or tried to co-regulate and use a different tactic, if you like, rather than the stepping back. So it was a real level of attunement, wasn't it, in that moment of, actually, this is okay, and he just needs to be alongside. He needs me to be alongside and really know in the moment and empathise with where he's at, but let him know he's okay.
That's definitely, yeah, for sure, Fran. To be honest, I as I say, in the past, I would almost certainly have intervened far earlier because partly from my fear, because my past experiences taught me that if I don't intervene, his laptop ends up across the other side of the room, or destruction, self-harm, whatever. But as you say, that attunement, and I think more so kind of attuning to myself, and I was aware that what I didn't need to do was tip him one way or the other, because he appeared to be coping with the problems he was having without my input, sort of thing. So I kind of let him work through it on his own.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
And that's about trusting that connection that we have, if you get what I'm saying to you.
That's almost like a parallel process, though, isn't it? Because actually you were really present and really alongside. Even though you're saying he was doing it on his own, actually you were really present, and that's the whole point, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, that's the one thing I kind of, as I said to you, my kind of parenting has evolved over the last few years. And when probably 3 or 4 years ago, when I first found NVR, which is a parenting approach, one of the things that really stuck out with me with NVR was parental presence. It was something they call parental presence, and that's kind of, I'm guessing, where I'm coming from there with my phrase of heart level connection. It's, if I'd have tried to connect with him on a different level yesterday, over the weekend, in this situation, I could see that I could possibly make matters worse rather than better. So as you quite rightly suggest, it's that attunement with myself, the understanding of the situation that he's in, where I've decided to actually take a step back rather than try to help him. And it certainly had the desired effect, really.
So I think what I want to make really clear to people that are listening, that actually the stepping back isn't a lack of connection, it's actually deepening the connection. So in that moment, because we always say to our parents, in the moments that the child needs you, you need to connect, but actually you were really connected.
Absolutely. And kind of I was aware of that we was already connected, we was already co-regulating together, and because I'm aware that he isn't getting any more stressed, I actually, it's easier for me to trust our connection, if you like. As I say, it's been built up over several years, and more and more recently, I'm beginning to trust that connection and that co-regulation more and more, so that I can avoid some of the mistakes that I made in the past, where I've recognised that I've actually made matters worse, even though my intentions were to help him. I've actually caused more problems than I've solved in the past. So by being able to almost, if you imagine me like Zippy I've just shut me mouth. You're fine, mate. And towards the end of the phone call, it actually finished. So I asked him, I said, well, what's your plan then? This is coming like 9 o'clock when we normally say goodbye for bed. I said, so what's your plan then? And he went, wait till tomorrow. See Griff tomorrow. Griff will help you. So he'd already come up with a solution himself without my input whatsoever. And I was really, really amazed when I put the phone down, because as I say, I mean, from my perspective, I've sat there for half an hour listening to him getting stressed and done very, very little. But my presence and our heart level connection was enough.
Brilliant. Thank you, Griff. Thank you so much. I'm forever learning from you, and we're very lucky at Needs to have you on our board.
Thank you very much, Fran. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.